They say we are blind, not because we lack vision, but because we see only what our eyes are trained to see. From the moment we open our eyes each morning, we drown in distractions, noise, screens, obligations, and constant stimulation. But what if I told you there is a forbidden technique, a path lost in the noise of modern life, that can awaken your inner vision and allow you to perceive what lies beyond the invisible? This technique is not found in books or taught in schools. It is not loud, it is not easy, it demands silence, it requires discipline, and above all, it requires presence. Inner vision is not a fantasy. It is a sharpened state of awareness, a tuning of your mind into the frequency of truth. This truth doesn't shout, it whispers, and to hear it you must first become still enough to listen. You begin with breath, not the shallow, unconscious breath of a restless mind, but the deep, grounded breath of a warrior in meditation. Every inhale becomes a key, every exhale a doorway. Through breath, you silence the storms of thought. Through stillness, you begin to see, not with your eyes, but with your being. Most people look without seeing, hear without listening, move without knowing why. But those who awaken their inner vision walk a different path. They no longer chase what glitters. They no longer fear uncertainty. They begin to understand that everything they were seeking outside, strength, clarity, purpose, was already inside, waiting to be discovered. You must break the cycle of reactive living. When emotions rise, don't rush to act. Observe. When distractions pull you, don't follow. Return. This is the forbidden technique. The ability to remain still when the world demands reaction, to choose awareness over impulse, to respond from clarity rather than habit. Many will call this illusion. They will say you're wasting time, but these are the voices of the blind warning you against sight. Let them speak. You will be too focused to listen. The invisible world opens only to those who walk with courage and patience. And you will begin to notice patterns others miss. You will feel energy where others sense nothing. You will start to see into people's intentions beyond their words. You will become a reader of silence, a listener of the unseen. This vision does not come in a flash. It is carved slowly, day by day, through discipline, through mindful movement, through self-reflection, through detachment from chaos and connection to stillness. You are not here to be ordinary. You are here to become aware. You are not here to survive. You are here to awaken, and the only way to see what others cannot is to do what others will not. True vision is not about what the eyes can see, but about awakening a deeper inner awareness that perceives beyond the surface of reality. The foundation of this awakening lies in mastering silence, stillness, and the breath, tools that tune the mind into presence and clarity. Inner vision requires discipline and detachment from distractions. It grows in those who choose awareness over reaction and stillness over chaos. The forbidden technique is a practice of observing rather than acting impulsively, creating space for conscious response and deeper understanding. By walking this path, one begins to sense energy, recognize hidden patterns, and intuitively read emotions and intentions beneath the visible world. This journey is slow and intentional, forged through mindful habits, and meant for those who refuse to live an unconscious, reactive life. Most people go through life believing they are awake simply because their eyes are open. They navigate the world based solely on what is visible, the objects, the movements, the circumstances. But there is a vision far deeper than sight, a perception that doesn't rely on what's outside but emerges from within. This is the realm of inner vision. It's the ability to sense what is hidden, to understand what lies beneath the surface, and to feel truth even when it cannot be seen or heard. While the ordinary eye looks outward, the awakened eye turns inward and sees through illusion. This vision is not a gift reserved for the few. It is a capacity we all hold but rarely cultivate. We are taught to see with judgment, with comparison, with desire. We see what we want to see, not what is truly there. But when you begin the journey of awakening inner vision, you start to peel away the layers of illusion. You stop reacting to appearances and start perceiving essence. You no longer chase shadows. You begin to move with purpose, guided by a knowing that comes from stillness rather than noise. Inner vision reveals patterns that the logical mind cannot grasp. It shows you the energy of a situation, the intention behind a smile, the fear behind anger, the lesson inside adversity. It allows you to navigate life with clarity, to make decisions that align with your true path, and to see possibilities where others only see obstacles. It's not about mysticism, it's about presence. It's not about seeing spirits, it's about seeing reality as it is, unfiltered and pure. To awaken this vision, you must let go of the belief that seeing is believing. In truth, believing is often the barrier to seeing. You must step beyond the surface of things, beyond appearances, and enter the silent space within where clarity begins. This is where the real world opens, unseen by the distracted, untouched by the rushed, and unknown to the unaware. The breath is the most underestimated force in human experience. It is always with us, yet we barely pay attention to it. But those who understand the path to inner awakening know that breath is not just air, it is awareness made physical. Every inhale invites presence, every exhale releases noise. It is through the breath that you reclaim ownership of the moment, and only through the moment can the gates to inner vision begin to open. The world wants your attention pulled in every direction, keeping your mind spinning and your spirit scattered. But the breath brings it all back to center. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the mastery of it. Stillness means you are no longer at the mercy of external waves. You are the anchor in the storm, not because the storm disappears, but because you have stopped being tossed by every gust of wind. And this stillness begins with a single breath, deeply drawn, mindfully felt. When you breathe with intention, you return to yourself. You detach from the speed of the world and reconnect with the rhythm of life. From this connection, a different kind of seeing arises, not of the eyes, but of the soul. Silence too becomes a tool, not the awkward emptiness people avoid, but the rich silence where true power lives. In silence, the mind no longer races. Thoughts slow down, reactions soften, and from that silence, clarity appears. You begin to hear what the noise had hidden. You begin to see what the mind had blurred. Breath, stillness, and silence are not escapes. They are the ancient tools of warriors, monks, and sages who knew that the battle was always within. When you practice these, you are no longer a prisoner of the outer world. You become rooted, aware, and centered. The body relaxes, the mind sharpens, and the senses align. In this state, distractions lose their grip. Emotions no longer rule, and the vision within begins to open, slowly, like the petals of a lotus rising from still waters. The world may stay loud, but you move through it in quiet power. Discipline is often mistaken for restriction, but in truth, it is the key that unlocks freedom. When your actions are ruled by habit and your mind is a slave to distraction, you live on autopilot. You may appear awake, but you're only reacting, never truly choosing. Inner vision cannot flourish in a restless, reactive mind. It demands deliberate living, the kind that rises from conscious discipline. You must train yourself to pause, to observe, to break free from the patterns that keep you blind to what lies beneath the surface. Only then do you begin to see life as it really is, not as your impulses shape it. Detachment from distraction is not about running from the world, it's about reclaiming control over your attention. Every moment you give to mindless scrolling, every reaction you give to petty conflict, drains the energy needed to awaken your awareness. To see the invisible, you must stop being consumed by the obvious. The noise will never stop, but your response to it can be mastered. This mastery is built one breath, one choice, one moment of stillness at a time. Discipline is the sharpening stone of perception. Through it, you learn to say no to the unnecessary, and yes to what nourishes your deeper self. You rise early not because the world tells you to, but because the silence of the morning becomes sacred to your vision. You practice presence not because it's trendy, but because distraction has become too expensive a price to pay. Every act of discipline becomes a signal to your inner world. You are ready, you are serious, you are watching. When you begin to walk this path, something within shifts. Your inner world grows quieter, your intuition louder. You begin to anticipate rather than react, notice instead of judge. You move through life with calm alertness, sensing things that others overlook. While the undisciplined stumble in confusion, you step with purpose. Discipline is not punishment, it is preparation, and the one who is prepared can walk through chaos without becoming part of it. They can look at the world and, through the fog of distraction, see the quiet truth shining beneath. There is immense power in the space between stimulus and response. Most people live in that instant reactively, jumping from one impulse to another, letting emotion dictate their path. But the one who seeks inner mastery knows that the real strength lies not in immediate action, but in conscious observation. When something triggers you, the first instinct is to move, fight, defend, respond. But if you pause and choose stillness, you shift into a different state of being. You stop being a slave to your reactions and start becoming the author of your choices. This is the forbidden technique that few are willing to practice, doing nothing in the face of urgency, saying nothing in the face of noise, simply observing. In that moment, something incredible happens. You gain access to clarity. You begin to see what lies beneath the surface. You notice the emotion rising, but you are no longer consumed by it. You feel the urge to speak, but you are no longer controlled by it. This is not weakness. This is power, refined, focused, and deliberate. The world may try to provoke you, but when you have trained your mind to observe instead of react, you rise above the chaos. You don't waste energy trying to control everything. Instead, you gain control over yourself, and that is the highest form of mastery. Most people want control over situations, people, outcomes, but the wise understand that the real game is played within. The moment you respond from awareness, not reaction, you begin to reshape your destiny. This form of stillness is not passive. It is active awareness. It is not about being indifferent, but about choosing a higher form of engagement. You can still act, but now your actions are rooted in purpose, not panic. You can still speak, but now your words come from depth, not defensiveness. You are no longer pulled by every wave. You have become the ocean. And in this ocean, vision expands. In that sacred space of observation, you begin to see what others cannot. You notice patterns, truths, and lessons that only reveal themselves to those who choose to remain still when the world demands noise. When the eyes are no longer the only tool for seeing, a new world begins to unfold. You start to sense the subtle energy that flows through people and places, the tension behind a smile, the hesitation beneath confidence, the quiet sorrow hiding in strength. This is not magic. It is awareness sharpened through presence. Most people walk through life blind to these undercurrents because they are too busy, too distracted, or too consumed by their own thoughts. But when your inner vision awakens, you begin to read the space between words, the pause in a conversation, the way someone breathes when they speak. This ability to perceive what is unseen is not a gift of the few, but a skill cultivated by the disciplined. It requires letting go of assumptions and tuning in to what is actually unfolding. You begin to notice how energy rises and falls in a room. You feel the difference between someone speaking from their truth and someone hiding behind performance. You begin to realize that the invisible world is far more real than the one people spend their lives chasing. And the more you train your awareness, the sharper this vision becomes. There are moments when your instincts speak louder than logic, and suddenly you understand something without needing proof. This is the wisdom of inner seeing. It comes not from analysis, but from alignment. It flows when you are still enough, open enough, and honest enough to receive it. You stop trying to interpret life solely through thought and start experiencing it through presence. You sense when something is off, even if everyone else seems comfortable. You recognize truth not by its volume, but by its quiet weight. The more you trust this perception, the more it reveals. You see intentions masked by kindness. You notice when someone's words do not match their energy. You feel truth before it is spoken. This is the essence of seeing beyond the visible, not to judge or control, but to move through life with clarity and calm confidence. In a world that rewards distraction, your ability to read the unseen becomes your secret strength. This path is not paved with sudden enlightenment or dramatic revelations. It unfolds in the quiet repetition of daily practice, in the patient carving of awareness into the shape of your life. Awakening inner vision is not a one-time event. It is a continuous, intentional journey. Every day, you choose stillness over chaos. Every day, you return to your breath, your center, your inner rhythm. It is through this discipline that transformation begins, not loud and explosive, but steady and deep, like roots growing beneath the surface. Most people seek shortcuts. They want clarity without effort, vision without silence, insight without stillness. But those who walk this path know that true change comes slowly. It builds as you turn your mornings into rituals, your movements into meditations, your moments into mirrors. You begin to see how each breath is a chance to return, each step an invitation to be present. And in that presence, your perception sharpens. Life slows down. You notice the texture of a moment, the emotion beneath a glance, the stillness inside yourself. Mindful habits become your foundation, not just meditation, but how you speak, how you walk, how you respond to life. You stop being pulled in 1,000 directions and start becoming rooted in one. You become deliberate in your actions, aware of your thoughts, and intentional with your energy. You detach from noise not to escape the world, but to meet it with clarity. The outer world may stay the same, but your way of being within it becomes entirely different. Every day you walk this path, you move further from reaction and closer to awareness. You stop being a passive observer of your life and become its conscious creator. You listen deeper, see clearer, and feel more aligned with something greater than yourself. The pace is slow, but the depth is vast. And as you stay committed, your inner vision expands, not because you forced it, but because you nurtured it. You didn't chase light. You became still enough for it to find you. There comes a point on the path when you no longer ask for more signs or louder answers. You begin to understand that everything you need has already been placed within you, waiting to be uncovered. The noise, the distractions, the chase, they all begin to fade, not because the world has changed, but because you have. You have tuned your mind to a different frequency, one where stillness speaks louder than sound, and silence becomes a guide. The vision you sought was never about seeing more of the outside world. It was about finally seeing yourself, without distortion, without fear, without masks. You start to realize that what once felt invisible was simply ignored. The intuition that nudged you, the energy that surrounded you, the wisdom in your breath, it was always there. But now, through discipline, through presence, through observation, you've trained your awareness to perceive it. You no longer need to control life, you move with it. You no longer fear uncertainty, you welcome it. And in doing so, you move through the world with calm precision, quiet strength, and a clarity that others can sense but cannot explain. This inner vision doesn't make you separate from the world. It connects you to it more deeply. You see people not for what they pretend to be, but for who they are. You recognize pain behind pride, softness behind strength, and possibility behind doubt. You no longer need to prove anything because your presence becomes your message, your calm becomes your power, your silence becomes your wisdom. The truth is, not everyone will understand this journey. Some will dismiss it, others may fear it, but you didn't choose this path to be understood. You chose it to awaken, and the more you walk it, the more the invisible becomes clear. Life reveals itself, not in the rush, but in the pause. Not in the noise, but in the space between it. You now see with different eyes, move with a deeper rhythm, and live with intention rather than reaction. And as you continue forward, remember, the path doesn't end. It deepens. Every breath is a step, every moment a mirror, every choice a doorway to seeing what once seemed hidden.